Hey, what's going on, Rip City? Show me your blazer. Hey, look, I don't care how many games they lose this season if they keep giving us entertainment like that. That was a fun basketball game tonight. That was high quality basketball early in the NBA regular season as the Blazers and Kings have a thriller at the Golden One Center tonight in overtime. The Kings get the win 121 to 118. And I'll tell you what, pretty much everything that Chris and I talked about in the pregame tonight, we got delivered tonight where the Trailblazers, they battled. They were in a position to win the game. Unfortunately, they had a horrific stretch in the final minute of regulation. But we're talking about multiple guys stepping up to make game-winning plays. You had big-time play from Jeremy Grant. DeAndre Ayton was a monster in the fourth quarter. I mean, just take your pick tonight. How about Malcolm Brogdon going down 5 minutes into the game after scoring 5 points, and Coach Billups looks at his bench and calls on Skylar Mays. What'd Mays do? 36 minutes and had a double-double with 18 points and 11 assists. We saw great defense from Tamani Kamara. We saw the team playing good team defense late in the game. There were all sorts of different things going on, which was terrific. So I think all in all, as a Trailblazer fan, I mean, you can be happy with the performance tonight. Now, as I've said, and I know some of you will get irritated at me, like, I'm not concerned about wins and losses right now with this group. I'm not, because it doesn't matter this year. They're not going to the postseason. They're not pursuing a championship. What we're looking for is growth with the young players as individuals, and more importantly, are they responding to what Chauncey Billups is laying down? Now, look, like you, I've had my concerns about Coach Billups, but I want the facts, the games, the data, what we see to dictate our decision making. And I think right now, 8 games into the season, we can step back and say, you know what? I like a lot of the things that I see from this team, and I think they're responding in many different ways to what Coach Billups wants. It doesn't mean that he's the answer. There's still a lot of games to be played, but I like what I see so far. That was a great game tonight and a good response by the Trailblazers, who were coming off a tough loss on Sunday where they went ice cold down the stretch to Memphis, and they showed up in Sacramento tonight and balled out. They balled out. Now, I mentioned that final minute of regulation. It was awful, and it was costly because it was a game that they had in hand. They had the game in hand. And this is part of being a young team, a new team, having the youngest roster in the NBA, just learning how to close out games. That's really what it comes down to. So with a minute left, it was 111-107, Trailblazers on top. Jeremy Grant had a turnover, which resulted in a Malik Monk layup to cut the lead to 2 at 111-109. We then had a Shaedon Sharpe turnover where the guys were in the right place, the team ran the right play, and Sharpe stepped on the baseline. He was out of bounds. And then as we progress, Skylar Mays had that good drive but couldn't make the shot. And then we got the foul on Shaedon Sharpe, which resulted in a couple of free throws for Malik Monk. And then that final possession, I think there were like 8.3 seconds on the clock. 8.3, timeout. And the best shot they got was a Skylar Mays 3. Little rainbow from atop the circle. So if you want to point to anything as why we got the result we got, it was that final minute of regulation. The Blazers had the game. They just blew it. They blew it. They had it. And the other part, that other play that I thought was somewhat brutal, how about the foul by Shaedon Sharpe with just under 2 minutes to go on Monk when he was well behind the three-point line? You're up by 5. You don't foul a three-point shooter. It's like, well, come on. I thought DeAndre Ayton flexing his bag in that fourth quarter hit some big shots. Big shots. That's what I loved about this game tonight. It's like everywhere you turned, it was like Jeremy Grant responding to the plea from his head coach to be aggressive and to take more shots, to be a ball hog. He did that tonight. Jeremy Grant had a terrific game. 38 points on 25 shots. He also, surprisingly, contributed with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. So Jeremy Grant responding, 5 of 8 from downtown. Matisse Thybulle tonight, 13 points, 2 rebounds, and an assist. He was 4 of 8 from the field. DeAndre Ayton, 41 minutes, 18 points, 10 rebounds. As I mentioned before, clutch in that fourth quarter. Shaedon Sharpe fouled out, but he finished with 18 points and 3 assists and showing some insane aggressiveness tonight. And I'll tell you what, I love it. Malcolm Brogdon, 5 points in 5 minutes. He left early in the game with that hamstring strain. You get 36 minutes from Skylar Mays, 18 points, 11 assists. He was terrific at points during the game. Tamani Kamara showcasing the defense. So take your pick. Multiple guys stepping up. Multiple guys. Terrific. That was a lot of fun. That's the type of game we like. Those two styles make for a pretty darn good fight, but impressive for the Blazers tonight, who did a better job shooting the basketball. They made 11 threes, just 29. They were 36% from three. They connected on 50% of their field goals tonight. That's better. That's an improvement. That's good for this team. They weren't settling for the three, and with their aggressiveness, they were able to get up 29 free throws. They made 22 of them. The Kings tonight, 28 of 38. So both teams aggressive, able to get to the foul line, and the Kings get the job done in overtime by a final score of 121 to 118. And that's what we have. The Blazers now will get some rest, some much-needed rest, and we'll play the Lakers Sunday in Los Angeles. And by the way, Chris and I noticed this, what it must be like to be 19 years old, to have no cares in the world, to be young, to be rich, and to be ripped. And I don't know if you saw it, but Scoot Henderson just hanging out on the bench with the sleeveless shirt was amazing. It's so funny when you look at an NBA roster because you got the guys who have been around a long time, the vets, and then you got youngins like Scoot Henderson rocking the sleeveless shirt. How badass was that, Burkhardt?
I just love how he's rocking a Sturgis Bike Week shirt, too. Like, it's just like, this guy cools the other side of the pillow, man.
He is, dude. So much fun. That was a great game tonight. I didn't
Depends
expect
who you
him to
ask.
compete like that. That was nice. What do you mean, who you asked?
Oh, you talk to our guy Nick in the YouTube chat.
Was he bitter about something?
Oh, he thinks that, there's no such thing as a positive game, and Jeremy Grant's a choke artist, and Billups still sucks, and we're all soft because we're finding positive in this game, which is, mind-blowing because, like, what did people expect? Like, oh, gosh, championship or bust with a bunch of 19-year-olds. It's like, must be exhausting to wake up and be so negative in every single YouTube chat you enter.
I mean, really, this year, I don't know what to say. This is not about wins and losses. The Blazers are not hunting wins this year.
I thought this game was incredible.
It was a great game.
I mean, you're playing down the stretch with Skylar Mays and Tumani Kamara, and you're making it a game? The effort was there, man. That's what you love to see in a game like this when you know exactly what the outcome of this season is going to be.
I thought Jeremy Grant got some good looks down the stretch. They just didn't go. They didn't go. I thought both teams were a little bit helter-skelter at the beginning of overtime. There was a little bit of a frantic pace, and we saw some ridiculous turnovers from both sides.
you and I both laughed at each other at the was it in overtime when Chauncey just
settle
gave
down,
the calm
fellas.
down,
Calm
guys.
down.
Like, slow down. You don't need to be going full speed at all times.
And I know there are some fans they just want the Blazers to win every night, but again, I'm not speaking for the team. I'm not a mouthpiece. I don't work for the Trailblazers, and I really don't care what anyone that works for the Trailblazers thinks. I just share what I think. I went into this year with the understanding that this is a brand new basketball team, youngest roster in the NBA, and for the first time in a long time, they made a decision as a franchise to pick a direction. And that direction was to go young, to strip the roster down, and to rebuild. Now, you may disagree with that decision. That's a decision they made. So once they made the decision and they embraced that, I knew what this was going to look like this year. They're going to favor the youngsters and try to develop them. And when you do that as an organization, you understand that it's going to take some time, meaning you're going to go through a couple of years of ups and downs. You're not going to win a ton of games, but what you do is you develop your young players. So we want to see growth from Scoot and from Shaden. And then you continue to be on the prowl for young assets, either young players that you can acquire via trade or more draft picks that you can acquire via trade that you can cash on in once the NBA draft rolls around. That's what it's all about. Now, if you get these nights where they compete and they overachieve and they win games, or if they have a game like tonight where they put themselves in a position to win but didn't execute well through a couple of stretches in overtime and late in regulation, that's okay. It's a learning experience. So that's the way I approach the season. I'm looking for not wins and losses this year. I'm looking for growth, incremental growth from the team, from the young players, from Chauncey Billups and his staff. And I want to see how these guys continue to come together. But tonight, you knew you were without Scoot. There's no Anthony Simon. So your best player and your top rookie are out. And then 5 minutes into the game, your seasoned vet, Malcolm Brogdon, is out. And so you have to turn to Skylar Mays. You got a bunch of young guys on the floor, and yet you're able to push the Kings to the brink, and it goes into overtime, and they come up 3 points short. To me, that's a win.
Big time.
It's a win.
It's like, I try not to, but like being negative after this game is hard not to get frustrated at seeing that. Like, how can you watch this game and be that angry by it? Like, I watched this game, like that last play, had Shaden Sharp not been in the restricted area, and if he hadn't even been there, that shot might not have gone in because Tamani Kamara played really good defense on that play. Like, that's things to get excited about. This guy that was a more or less a throw-in into this Dame trade's looking really good on the defensive end. And as Han is pointing out in the chat, like he was at the game at Memphis, and he said Moto was rocking and he loved it. And the game tonight was enjoyable basketball. Like, what more can you ask for right now? A championship, of course, but this team is on like the guys rolled out Skylar freaking Mays and made it an enjoyable game. Good on them.
Eric just hit me up on Twitter and said, I'll say it. Billups has them playing with passion. He does. They're playing hard, and more importantly, they're defending.
Very well.
They're defending. They were number 9 going into the game tonight in defensive efficiency. They're playing hard. They're being aggressive, and you're getting multiple guys to make contributions. That is beautiful, and it's a sight for sore eyes if you've been here in Rip City for a while. I like it.
These guys, the guys who are upset after this loss are like, they're the kinds who they have children, and like their children is like walking, like their child walks for the first time, takes their first step. They're like, yeah, but she ain't running. She ain't running. Ain't worth it. What good is walking if you can't even run yet? Learn how to move those little feet, kid. That's stupid. You guys are happy because you can walk? Jokers.
Hey, by the way, props to Chauncey Billups for giving Chris Murray some time on the floor tonight.
He
with
knew
his brother,
he
Keegan
knew what he
Murray.
was doing.
That's so cool. He even mentioned it after the game. He said, hey, I got a heart. I got a heart. I know what's going on here. And that's pretty cool to see Chris Murray get some time and have a chance to play with his brother in the same game. Chris Murray tonight, 9 minutes of action. Good job, Coach. Good job. Way to take care of you guys. Good job. Nice work, Coach. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on fifth quarter, and we'll come back with Shot of the Night. Don't forget, we're on our YouTube live stream. All of our local shows, Rip City Mornings with Justin Myers, Rip City Drive with Dwight and Chad, Blazers Game Day, fifth quarter, and Courtside Mondays with Mr. Chris Burkhardt, all streaming on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you can get our live links right there. And, of course, subscribe to our page. All right, we'll come back. Kings get the win in overtime tonight, 121 to 118. Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt with you, Rip City. You got the fifth quarter.
The fifth quarter shot of the night. Liberty Coin and Currency, the place to buy and sell your gold, silver, jewelry, and coins.
Here's Monk, baseline jumper over Ayton. That's no good. Grant grabs the rebound. Coming the other way is Jeremy. The lob for Ayton with the two-hand smash.
That's good basketball.
All right, fifth quarter where the Kings take out the Blazers tonight in overtime, 121 to 118. But as I mentioned before, great effort by the Blazers tonight. Multiple guys making contributions, and really an entertaining early season, regular season game for the NBA. It was awesome. I love seeing the back and forth. I thought Malik Monk was incredibly clutch for the Kings tonight. I think he scored the final 9 in regulation for them, including those 2 ballsy free throws that he knocked down, and then was able to ice the game late with a couple of free throws, putting the Kings up by 3 at the end of overtime. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Let's go out to Ron in Salt Lake. Ron, my man, what's up?
Hey, Chad. Well, we had amazing weather in Salt Lake today, so able to get out on the golf course, which is always a major bonus in November.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was nice. Hey, a couple of things. Tumani Kamara I am loving that guy more and more every single game. His instincts on defense are amazing. His length, his body, his grit. This guy's a keeper. And in 2 or 3 years, we might look back on the trade and say that was the steal of that trade for sure. So that's exciting. I would have liked to have seen Billups. You know, when you've got such a young team on the floor and when you've lost, your point guard to a hamstring and we're in a close game, I would have liked to have seen Billups just use those timeouts better. In that final minute when everything was chaotic, just call a timeout, settle everything down, call up a play, get some sets that are working. And so that I think Billups blew it on that one. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think so. My biggest frustration with the game tonight was that final minute of regulation where you had multiple mistakes there, where the Blazers, first off, you had the foul on the 3 that Monk took by Shaedon Sharpe, which took a 5-point lead and turned it into 2. And then in that final minute, you had the turnover by Grant. You had a turnover by Shaedon Sharpe, and you had a missed opportunity from Skylar Mays, and then Monk was able to make a couple of free throws at the end of regulation. So that final minute, it was a game the Blazers should have won, but because of mistakes, the Kings were able to capitalize and push it into overtime.
Yeah, it's a bummer they lost. And again, Chauncey's got to be better. He's got to be that extension, that point guard on the sideline, head coach that calls that timeout when he feels it. So I thought he could have done that. But anyway, one last thought. I try and be positive in this thing. And the other night I was looking at the chat. I normally never look at the chat. I just listen to the show. And I'm like, who's this clown Nick Thompson? Like, all of a sudden I'm talking to you and I'm seeing these posts from a guy named Nick Thompson who's hiding behind the freaking curtain, never calling up on the show, never talking, always just smack talking everybody in the chat. And I'm like, why is this bro coming after me? So I'm like, Nick, where are you? Why don't you pick up the phone and dial Rip City Radio? Why don't you make a phone call and start, bringing your smack on the radio? You're just going to sit there all night and bash people? So come on, Nick. We're all Rip City fans. Be better than that, bro. Anyway.
Yeah, you're the man, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, come on, Nick. Step it up, man. 503-248-0620. I like that. Ron throwing a little shade at Nick for hiding behind the keyboard, not jumping on the phones. Booyah! 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. Kings over the Trailblazers tonight by a final score of 121 to 118. Let's take a listen to Coach Billups and see what he had to say after the Blazers' overtime loss by 3, 121 to 118 to the Kings.
We did all we could. We left it out there, and, Malcolm went down. That obviously hurt us. And we played a lot of people a lot of minutes, and they used to playing, but they kept going. And we had our chances. We had our chances. And there's some games that it just happens in a season. There's some games that you win that you probably shouldn't have won. There's some games that you lose that you probably should have won, and this is one of those games. We felt like we should have won the game, but just didn't have enough. But we had our chances.
Obviously, we don't know the future of Malcolm the next few games, but Skylar, what would you say about the way he stepped in and just kind of led the team?
Yeah, Sky was incredible. He really was. He's ever since we got him on a 10-day last year. I just love the way he plays. He plays. He got smarts. He's very crafty. He's a big shot maker. He's just tough, a heady player. He gave us all he had. He goes from barely playing to 37 minutes in this game, in an up and down type of game. So I was proud of Sky. He played amazing.
Coach, how do you feel about your late game execution, both at the end of regulation and at the end of overtime? I imagine in some respects you maybe like to get a better shot, but also like you're up against it a little bit personnel wise.
Yeah, I was happy with what we was able to do. Of course I would have loved a better shot at the end of the regulation, but I thought we got some great looks at the end of overtime. To tie it. But again, you got guys in those situations that they usually are never in the game at that time, of the game. So everybody that was in there did an incredible job, man. They gave us a chance in this game, and, I got no complaints at all whatsoever about what happened in this game.
We've asked you a lot about Jeremy recently, just about kind of the role that he's playing and kind of having to extend himself. Tonight, obviously, a phenomenal performance, keeps you guys in this game and almost won it for you. Yeah,
he did. Jeremy was, man, he was there on both sides of the ball, too. We depended on him to really guard a lot of their players tonight. He had to guard Herter some. He had to guard Harrison some, Keegan. He put him on everybody. Sabonis at the end. So, and then you have to play through him, So you try not to wear him out too much and have to throw him the ball every time, but we was just very short in numbers, man, and he always steps up, to the plate.
Coach, Mom, you asking, you did play Chris a few minutes in the first half. I know he only played a couple games this season, and he got a chance, to play against his brother. What was the thought process going in there? Just let him get a feel of the game, or just the fact that he was going to get a chance to play against his twin brother?
Yeah, obviously we got guys that just, we're so injured, and Chris is a guy that, we believe in, and we have high hopes for him and our future here, and it was just his turn, and it just so happened that he was playing, obviously, against his brother, so, of course, I'm a coach that got a heart, and I wanted that to be a special moment for him and his family. So getting him out there, and he played some positive minutes for us, which he always will, because he's a smart and good player like that. But it was good to see him get out there and get some minutes, in this game, and I'm sure, he'll be playing a lot more throughout the rest of the season, I'm sure.
Just one more for you, Coach. Could you talk about the effort of DeAndre tonight, particularly in that fourth quarter? Hit a couple huge jumpers for you guys.
Yeah.
It seems like when you're able to get the ball to him, he was able to do something like that tonight.
Yeah, I thought DA was good all night. He's, he had a tough job, with Sabonis the whole time, and Sabonis is really the hub of their offense, and you got to be on a swivel out there when you're playing against him, and I thought DA did a really good job against him today. And then he had to, we're still trying to find ways to best use him and get him the ball in that pocket where he's really, really good at. And he made some really, really big shots and big plays for us.
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
There is Chauncey Billups after the Blazers.
All right, there's Coach Billups after the Blazers 121-118 overtime loss to the Sacramento Kings tonight at Golden One Center. Telephone number is 503-248-0620. We'll come back, and when we do, we'll give you a scoreboard report, and then we'll take your phone calls, 503-248-0620. Of course, don't forget, go to youtube.com, and you can Go to our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, click and subscribe to the page, and then you can take part in our YouTube chat and be able to watch the show from inside the studio with our stream. 121-118, Kings get the victory tonight. The Blazers back in action Sunday in L.A. against the Lakers. Tip-off scheduled for 7 o'clock. All right, let's take a look around the association tonight and get you up to date on a very busy night in the NBA with some exciting basketball games, including the one we had a chance to watch down in Sacramento. In Charlotte tonight, the Wizards ripped the Hornets 132-116. Kyle Kuzma, 33 points and 9 rebounds. Indiana, the Pacers take out the Jazz 134-118, improving to 5-3. Halliburton finished with 16 points and 6 rebounds and 13 assists. In Philadelphia, Sixers 106, Celtics 103. Joel Embiid, 27 points, 10 boards, 4 blocks. In Brooklyn, the Nets over the Clippers 193. Royce O'Neal, 12 points, 10 boards, 3 blocks. In New York, the Knicks topped the Spurs 126-105. Julius Randle, 23 points and 16 rebounds. In Chicago, the Suns in overtime edged the Bulls 116-115. Grayson Allen, 26 points, 8 boards. In Houston, the Rockets crushed the Lakers 128-94. Not a good night for the Lakers as Jalen Green gets 28 points and 7 rebounds. In Memphis, the Heat over the Grizzlies 108-102. Miami now 4-4. Memphis falls to 1-7. Bam Adebayo had 30 points and 11 rebounds to go with 3 blocks. In Milwaukee, the Bucks over the Pistons 120-118. Damian Lillard, 34 points and 3 steals. In Minnesota, the Timberwolves over the Pelicans 122-101. Anthony Edwards, 26 points, 8 assists, and 3 steals. Thunder over the Cavs in Oklahoma City, 128-120. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that guy's awesome. 43 points, 7 boards, 6 assists. Raptors over the Mavericks in Dallas, 127-116. Pascal Siakam, 31 points and 12 rebounds. In Denver, the Nuggets improved to 8-1. They topped the Warriors 108-105. Jokic, 35 points and 13 rebounds. And as you know, the Kings in overtime take out the Trailblazers 121-118. Sabonis finished with 27 points, 11 boards, and 9 assists. And Jeremy Grant had a game-high 38 points in the loss. And that is your scoreboard report here on the fifth quarter. Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt with you. Let's go out to the phones. Let's go to East Amity and have a conversation with Ralph the Landscaper. What's up, Ralphie? Good evening.
Well, Chan, I'm just here. I'm looking at this YouTube deal here.
Yeah.
There's some real geniuses on there. You know that?
I've noticed.
There's a few that are, and I'm not going to mention any names, but you got to wonder, either they took Evelyn Woodhead's speed reading and typing, and they type 155 words a minute, and they don't got anything else to do other than just to send messages up there.
Yeah.
Or they're just short on friends or something, a couple of them anyway. But, I mean, each his own, Chan. So let me ask you this question, Chan.
Uh-huh.
This thing you refer to is Chancey's kind of team, building this team the way he wants to build this team, however you say it. You know what I'm talking about. Can you look around the league and say what he wants is kind of like that right there? That team right there is a good model of what he really is trying to do. And if so, is that working? Or is this something unique? Because let me be real here, Chan. These NBA players, they don't want to play defense. We all know that. They just want to throw up some points and, pay a little defense when it's critical at certain plays of the game, and that's that, and that's it. That's all. Let's go home and get our $42 million a year. That's what I'm thinking. So I don't think he's going to get all these young guys. You've got to be a defensive star, my friend. In 5 years, your body's going to be wore out and your career will be over. I don't think that's appealing. Am I missing something here?
No, I think in general, you're probably onto something there, but that's what I'm excited about early in this Trailblazer season is that he's getting the players to play defense. He's getting them to hustle and to do the work that they don't want to do because defense requires guys to get a little dirty, to expend a lot of energy. And so far through 8 games, he's been able to get them to do that. So, again, it's only 8 games, Ralphie, and as you know, that's not a very big sample size. So we'll see where they're at defensive-wise mid-season and if they're continuing to compete and play hard. If they are at that point, then I think we're onto something.
So here's my worry with that, Chan. If you think about every one of these players on this team, like everyone all the way from top to bottom, they all have something they have to prove to the rest of the league. And so they're not going to say, well, I'm not going to play defense. When we had these other veteran players here, they didn't want to play and they didn't have anything to prove. Everybody knew that they could score or they had other value to the team. These guys are not all, quote, values to the team at this point, so they kind of have to do what he wants them to do.
That's right. That's the beauty. That's the beauty of not having Damian Lillard in the locker room and having a bunch of young guys, the youngest roster in the NBA. Chauncey's got the power right now, so he can be the boss man and kind of demand that they do certain things. That's a very it's a much different situation for Billups to be in this year.
Yeah, so my question, though, Chan, back to my original question, what team around the league do you see where it's kind of strong-handed at the top from the coach who is being very successful with proven players who are, we know what they are? Is there a team you can say, yep, here's a team right here that has proven players that have other skills that could be welcome on other teams, and they're doing it the Chauncey way? My point is,
yes.
I'm not sure his approach is right. That's what I'm getting at, Chan. I don't want to.
Yeah, we're still learning. No, we understand. There are only a couple of coaches. Tom Thibodeau in New York, his guys play hard and play defense. Steve Kerr gets his guys, his stars in Golden State to play the way he wants. And the only other coach I could think of off the top of my head would be Michael Malone in Denver with his crew. He gets them to ball out and defend. And if they don't, he'll call them out in the press and chastise them. So those are kind of the examples that come to mind. But you're right. The majority of the league, the coaches don't have the power. The players do, especially the big name stars. And it's more ego massaging than it is coaching.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned Denver. I think that's a good example. Those guys do play hard, and their coach. Another word I was going to talk to you about. Chauncey kind of comes across as kind of a hard ass a little bit. Like, I'm your dad, and if you screw up, boy, we're going to go out and have a little visit behind the woodshed, and it may not come out well for you. He's kind of like that, and I don't know, the young kids in the NBA can relate to that. But then again, there's Malone, who seems to be the same kind of way. Or is he really just a pushover once push comes to shove?
Yeah, he might be more of a pushover. I'll tell you what, any trip I had behind the woodshed as a youngster back in Oklahoma, that never went well for me. I came up on the losing end, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I think Chauncey has some potential, but I think he needs to, I've hired a lot of managers. I can tell you right away if they're going to be successful. One of the things that makes them successful is the fact that you have to have your crew like you enough. And those are the words I use. They have to like you enough. Whether you're their best friend or not, I don't know. But they better like you. If they don't like you enough, you've got problems.
Well, let me ask you a question, Ralphie. Yeah, it makes sense. Let me ask you a question based on your incredible business acumen. What does your gut instinct tell you about Chauncey Billups? Is he going to make it or not?
I'd say no. Did I answer that quick enough for you, Chan?
I think you did. Yes.
unless he realizes, hey, I need to change and be more of a person, more human, and know when to coach and know when to be firm and know when to be all serious and all that thing. Think of this, Chan. The road there, and you got Pete Carroll for the Seahawks. He had an awakening where he went away and he said, you know what, I need to change and I need to have fun and I need to make this a place where players want to play, an environment that's cool and groovy, and we all work super hard and it's highly competitive. That worked. Had he not done that, he wouldn't be coaching. He'd be sitting on the couch right now listening to the fifth quarter on 620 Rip City Radio, where the phone number is 503-248-0620, and Burkhardt hates answering the phone. But that's, you see what I'm saying, Chan? I think that Chauncey needs that. He needs to be a friendlier, more likable coach, because I don't think they're going to doubt him. Look at the picture, Chan. Look at that picture that you guys post up there on the deal where he's talking. That you put his picture up on the screen there.
Yeah.
Look at 3 out of the 4 players are sitting behind him with their arms folded. That's not the kind of body language that I want to see.
You don't think arm folding is a good piece of body language, do you?
No. That's what your old girlfriends do, Chan. but they also walk the other direction too, and that's even worse. Yeah. Hey, well, anyway, what you were going to say? Go ahead, Chan.
Oh no, that's okay. Everything you said about my love life is correct.
Yeah. Well. I just
they would rather women would rather mill bark dust for you than they would spend time with me.
Yeah, and women would rather run my towing company in L.A. like Lucy, and that's we know enough about her, just how much money she has now. It's just kind of scary that a lot of these guys. I told you about the guy from Dubai that wanted to date her.
I know. I missed out on my opportunity there. I screwed up, Ralphie. I had my chance to possibly score big with a successful lady, and I screwed it up.
Yeah, and she's also very kind and nice and likable, and that's why she's so successful running that male-driven towing business and taking the value of that sucker. I told you I bought it for $3.2 million, and I was more like a holding company for the owners until his kid grew up enough, and Lucy taught him enough to run the business. Well, it's been about 7 years, I think now, and it's valued. We just had an evaluation done here, and we thought, well, this is going to be a lower one, and it wasn't. It's $16.2 $1.8 million for that thing now, Chan.
That's
Lucy,
sizable.
Lucy she's got 1% of that, and I'll tell you that she won't have to work the rest of her life, and she's been in that place for years, but she could still beat you in arm wrestling. And then again, that's not saying a whole lot, though.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well,
So, would you be nice to Burkhardt? I like to pick on him a little bit because I want to make him better, and make him so that he won't have to work for you anymore. Because I know you feel sympathy and you feel for the pathetic people of the world. You want to. He's not pathetic.
I care about people. Yeah, I care about people.
Yeah, you're trying to give him a good job. He does a good job, except not answering my calls on that Monday night call-in show. But him and I have had a discussion about that, and he's realized the error of his ways, and that's a good thing. There's hope for him now.
Yeah, there's hope. There's hope for Burkhardt, no question. No question, Ralph.
Well, you have a good-looking night, Chan, okay?
I appreciate that. There's Ralphie. His business acumen, his instincts tell him that Chauncey's not going to make it. And we'll see. We'll see. We got time. We'll find out. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. 503-248-0620. All right. I like Nick Thompson. We need a balance. Everyone needs a balance. We got to have the positive. We need the negative. We need it all.
I'll tell you. As much as he ruffles my feathers, he gets me going. I enjoy the fact that he just keeps coming back. Like he just keeps commenting, and then he'll randomly throw a compliment out there, and I'm like, oh, okay, oh man, he's playing both sides. He plays it well. He has fun with it. I think you do. You're right. You need a little bit of both sides sometimes.
Man, how about Skylar Mays going 18 points, 11 assists tonight? He was pretty big time down the stretch. He had a very careless lob pass in overtime, but that's pretty impressive. He's got more game than I first thought when they got him last year. He looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that lob pass was that was unforgivable. That was just like, what are you doing, man? Slow it down. Ball control is what's important right here. But that's what happens when you get some of those young players in those situations. I mean, Skylar Mays never expected to be playing crunch time minutes in overtime of an NBA game. Like he dreamed about it, but I mean, come on, he was on a team last year with Damian Lillard, so he didn't expect this.
No.
So those things are you got to learn, and making those mistakes is how you learn.
There are so many guys on this team that I like Skylar Mays. If you hear him, you understand his story and where he came from, the way he's worked. I respect it. Great guy. The youngster Chris Murray came from a terrific family. I'm a big fan of his. Big fan of Shaden. Big fan of Tamani Kamara. There's a lot of likable guys on this club that I just want to see do well.
Yeah, you know who I've becoming a fan of the more I listen to him, and I find it really interesting, is DeAndre Ayton. I think he's very vocal. I think the team respects the heck out of him. And what I find interesting with him is that early in the season, we saw him get salty, right? Because people kept asking the Phoenix question. And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. And he came across a little grumpy. And, people noticed that. And they're like, uh-oh, here we go, the attitude. But I think it was more to do with the fact that the guy really does not want to think about the Suns at all. Like, he has moved on, doesn't want to think about it. Because ever since then, every single one of his media availabilities, he's been just full of just smiling and life and having fun and joking with the reporters and loving the players, because he's talking about, I think Brooke asked a question the other day and he wasn't even responding. He's like, sorry, I was watching the players just ball out there because they were practicing. He's having a good time. His demeanor has changed now that people aren't asking him the Phoenix question, and he can just go be him. And he's sounding a little bit more like a leader when I hear him talk, and I like that.
Yeah, Ayton with 4 clutch buckets in that fourth quarter tonight. The Trailblazers should have won it, but mistakes in that final minute cost him. Kings able to force overtime and get the victory. Gary Winsick says, I like Ralph's imagination and his ability to embellish most any story. Han says Chauncey would be a good players coach, but I don't think he's a good head coach.
Ralph is the guy who tells the story of that one time he went fishing, but every single time he tells the story, the fish gets a little bit bigger.
Just a little bit bigger. And Christopher says he bought a Skylar Mays jersey tonight. Big ups. I like it. And Slug Wars says, I'm Rip City till I die, but I'm realistic, and this team died with Paul. Hmm. Well, I do miss Paul Allen. That guy was he's a big-time owner, big-time checkbook, and he just wanted to win. He didn't make all of his decisions were not spot on, but I gave him the benefit of the doubt because, I mean, at the core of it, he wanted to win. And, this team and this city needed him desperately to step in, and he did. He also saved the Seahawks. Paul Allen he's awesome. Love that guy. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on fifth quarter. We'll come back, and we'll hit What's the Scoot. He missed another game tonight. Hopefully he'll be able to make his return Sunday when the Blazers are in L.A. to take on the Lakers. All right, we're on YouTube. You can go there right now, youtube.com, and join in on the live stream and the chat. Or the homepage is Rip City Radio 620. Telephone number 503-248-0620. Chad Doing and Chris Burkhardt with you. Fifth quarter, Kings over the Blazers in Sacramento tonight. Overtime, 121-118. All right, fifth quarter, where the Trailblazers fall in overtime tonight. Overtime? Now my speech is fading. Overtime. Blazers fall tonight in overtime, 121 to 118. Let's go out to the phones. Uncle Blazers, a.k.a. Ramblin' Ben, is here. What's up, Ben? Fire away. You're on. The stage is yours.
Hey, Chad.
Yes.
You remember Ramblin' Ben?
Yes. What's cracking?
That's the right answer. So it's been a year or two. I'm resurfacing the first time this year. I'm rebranding. I'm trying to unramble. So my rebrand is Uncle Blazer. An extremely short version of that is back in, was it 91 when the Blazers and the Bulls were going at it? Was that 91 or 93?
And 91.
91. So one of my older brothers was getting married in Chicago. He and his wife had Bulls tickets. They're huge Bulls fans. My wife and I just had our first kid, who was just about a year old. We flew out for the wedding, and his second marriage. So the woman he's married had two kids, and she had like an 8-year-old boy and a 12-year-old girl. So I was all decked out with my Blazer gear at this wedding.
Hey, Ben.
It was an outdoor Jewish.
Hey, Ben,
wedding.
question for you. Do you have me on speakerphone right now?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I do not. Should I?
No, I'm just making sure.
I got you on my.
No, it's fine.
What,
I'm just
was
making
there a
sure I wasn't
problem?
on speaker. No. You sound okay. I was thinking if you were on speaker that you should take me off so you can sound better because this story sounds like it's going to get good.
So do I need to ramp up the volume?
No, you're fine. No, Ramblin' Ben. Don't let me get in your way. Keep going.
Okay, so anyway, and I had season tickets for the Blazers back in those days. Too rich for my blood now, but and so I showed up for this wedding, and of course there's all this back and forth, and this is like Game 6 is the day of the wedding, and they originally didn't know what the schedule of the playoffs were, so they were pretty upset that the wedding was the same day as Game 6. Otherwise, they would have been there because it was in Chicago, right? So, so they moved the time of the wedding up so that as soon as the wedding was over, and stomping on the glass until we're this great outdoor Jewish wedding. So everybody sprints. It's up this country club, Shore Acres up there in north of Chicago. So everybody's running. His wife, she's pulled up her dress, and so they're sprinting back to the clubhouse. So everybody goes in, so like a couple TVs on there so they can watch the end of the game. And of course, that's when the Blazers were up by, I don't know how many points was in the fourth period, and then Jordan decided, well, no, I'm going to win this game in the series right now. So, of course, I took all this crap, but Noah, who was the boy, because I had the Blazer stuff on, and also our 1-year-old kid, I had him in a little Blazer T-shirt. So I had to wear this underneath. We're supposed to look nice for the wedding, so I had like a shirt on with a tie, but I had the Blazer stuff showing through. Anyway, so he dubbed me Uncle Blazer. So I decided that's the right label for me.
That's terrific. That's awesome, my man. Yeah, the 91.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. I was going to say the 91-92 season. That's when the Blazers and Bulls, that's when they met in the finals. And I think 92-93 was the Bulls and Suns. And then, of course, the 89-90 season, the Blazers went to the finals and took on the Pistons.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for that time frame reminder. So I got two things for you.
Yes.
And I'm working down the rambler here. So thing one is I'm going to call you back on something I brought up I think it was like maybe the first or second time I called a couple years ago. When was it then the whole hoopla was around whether the Blazers would go after Harden or not? How many years ago was that?
That was like 2 or 3 years ago.
And you were all jacked up on that. Like, I got the Blazers. I can't stand them. We got to win the championship. We got to do everything. Why shouldn't we not go for our best, point guard or shooting guard in the history? And which he probably is, amazing shooting guard. So, but I just, I called up and I had this thing about Harden. It just didn't feel right to me. So I think I even called you. I said, why would we want Harden? He's the wrong fit. It's just going to screw everything up. I just don't think it's going to work. And what are you going to do with Harden and James and Dame on the floor? You kind of gave me some crap for it. I said, well, we can agree to disagree. So I just want to say in retrospect, I was right.
No, in retrospect, I was right. Neil O'Shea never did anything, and Dame ended up in Milwaukee because the Blazers failed him. And that was the biggest problem.
I agree on that. But Harden wouldn't have been the right guy.
Well, I don't know that. I just know that Dame and CJ weren't the right pairing in the backcourt. And at the time,
Well,
Harden was still a dominant player.
Okay, well, this is kind of a silly conversation anyway because who knows, right? It's dog-rabbit. So, so that I just wanted to throw that out there and say I was right. And you say you were right, so we both have to agree to disagree
No,
again.
I don't think I'm right.
So
I'm just irritated because I don't want to think about the O'Shea era. Look, the Dame's gone. You're right. Harden probably wouldn't have worked out anyways at the time. But I was desperate for a move because he didn't do anything. He didn't take any chances. He was averse to risk. Oh, my goodness. The phone connection, too. I don't know what's going on there.
Sounded like he may or may not have been sitting on something made of porcelain.
Was he in the bathroom, you think?
I mean, the way it echoed.
Was he growing a tail? He might have been. All right, let's hit What's the Scoop before we get out of here. It won't take too long tonight.
The best performing team requires the best workstations. What's the Scoot is brought to you by Office Furniture Reborn. Need desks, better office chairs, or just the right file cabinet? Office Furniture Reborn has a huge selection of colors and sizes to choose from. So drop by Office Furniture Reborn's huge showroom just off Pacific Highway in 217 or visit www.officefurniturereborn.com.
And by the way, Ramblin' Rod, or whatever your name was, Ramblin' Rod.
Uncle Blazer.
I've had many a bad takes. Harden is just one example of many bad takes I've had in Rip City.
We've made a living out of bad take.
Gosh. Yeah, that was just one bad take, Ramblin' Ben. I've had many of them. All right, with Scoot Henderson, he did not play tonight. He missed his third straight game with a sore ankle. Chauncey Billups just said that they just want to make sure they're going to take their time and make sure he's 100% when he comes back. So I would think with 3 more days off before they play this game Sunday in LA, I would expect him to come back. And I want to see him. I want to see progress. I want to see growth with Scoot Henderson, so I can't wait till he gets back on the floor. All right, that's going to do it for Burkhardt and I. Big thanks to all of you who tuned in on YouTube and also listened to us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Our next broadcast for the Blazers will be on Sunday. Game day's at 4:30. Tip-off with the Lakers at 7. Chris and I will be here for that. Tomorrow morning, Justin Myers has Rip City Mornings at 6. Dwight and I are back for the Rip City Drive at 3. And, of course, go to YouTube.com. Go to our homepage, Rip City Radio 620. Subscribe, and you can find all the live links there because all of our local shows streaming live on YouTube. Your final score tonight from Golden One Center in Sacramento. The Kings in overtime take out the Blazers 121-118. For Chris Burkhardt, I'm Chad Doing. Have a good night.